Welcome to Pitch in the Zone, the place where one presenter gets to practice a 3-minute pitch and then receives immediate feedback from coaches that are currently on the call. Today's presenter is going to be Gopal Swamy. He is the CEO of Conductive Inc., a company in the fintech space, and his pitch is an investor pitch. Gopal is looking to raise funding for his company, Conductive Inc. Not wanting to waste any time, let's turn it over to Gopal. Gopal, the floor is yours.
Okay, great. So I want to talk to you about the company that I started called Conductive. And Conductive is a fintech. And we are in the business of recovering lost loan opportunities for banks. And the name Conductive comes from the idea of a conductor of electricity that sits on top of a building. It brings all the electricity to one point. Now, we don't conduct electricity. Instead, we conduct data. Specifically, we conduct identity data and eligibility data. And we'll get into that in a minute. Now, Conductive was formed because banks have a huge problem today. Believe it or not, they lose $33 billion a year because they can't make decisions on 20% of the credit card and the loan applications that they get. And they can't make these decisions because they just don't have the right data to do so. When they try and go out and get that data on their own, they find that it's extremely expensive and extremely time-consuming to do. And we encountered this problem and solved it for a very big bank. We got them the data that they needed and kept them from losing many customers. And in doing so, we recovered $200 million for the bank. And we took everything we learned from that experience and started Conductive because we wanted to help the other 10,000 banks and credit unions in North America that have the same exact problem. So how do we do what we do? Well, whenever a bank can't make a decision on an application they receive, they call our API. And what we do is go out into the world digitally and bring back data instantly so that the decision can be made by the bank instantaneously and accurately. And what that does is it recovers millions of dollars in lost revenue, because if it weren't for the Conductive data gathering process, the applicant will be put into a very slow and a very manual and painful process that frustrates them and usually causes them to abandon their application. This is also important for the bank because when we stop that process from happening in the first place, it saves the bank millions of dollars. And we're extremely excited about what we do because our data will allow banks to see applicants in a completely different light and is fundamentally transformative. And the long-term vision of the company is to create a confidence score that transforms the lending industry. The thing I want to leave you with is that this is the right time to invest in Conductive because we're the only startup out there that actually enables banks to return to the lending business in the COVID economy. So that's Conductive, and that's what we do.
All right.
Great job. Thank you very much, Gopal. And you were almost right on time. A few seconds over, but really well done. So today we are gonna start with not Nathan for a change, because Nathan has worked together with you, as I understand. And Nathan also has this knack to see things that we ordinarily might not see. So let's save the best for last, or you know, and see what we can all find out, and then have Nathan fill in the blanks.
Good plan.
All
Great.
right, so I'm just gonna go around my screen as I see people, and next to me right now is Marco. Marco, do you have some thoughts, some good feedback for Gopal here?
Yes, just two small things. Everything was very good. I like that. I think the weakest point of your pitch is the introduction. I want to talk about my product. Yeah, thank you. We know that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, right? So something a little bit stronger will help, like especially in 3 minutes, because you have to use that. So something more powerful. Second thing, since, as we said before, you're asking for $1 million, something like that, and you're talking to investors, I would have expected something more, just a small, how you are planning to make money, like commission-based, flat fee, and so on. But apart from that, I really like that. And even though I don't like banks at all, but that's fine. That's thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Marco. Very valuable input. And I think we probably will circle back to that opening with a few people that have some feedback here. How about we move on? Scotty, are you ready with some of your feedback?
Sure. So, no, it's a great idea and great concept, and I love the close when you talked about return to lending, return to the lending business in a COVID economy. I thought was really a great line for the end. Getting back to the beginning, though, I think you can say beyond a little bit more enthusiasm, which Marco mentioned. I think you can save some time if you're pitching to VCs who are specifically focused on the fintech area. You don't need to say you're fintech. I mean, you can, again, depending on your audience. I think you gave a very basic description of the business, which would be good for maybe a big room of angel investors who have different investing styles, but be very clear, you know, if you're talking to people in your space, you don't need to go there. I like the explanation of a conductor, but again, it could be a little more energetic. And what I didn't see the line on, and I was trying to write things down, and maybe you spoke a little bit quickly here. You said, you know, the business was named after the idea of conducting electricity, which I liked. And there are two things. There was something and eligibility data. What was the first point?
Oh, identity.
Identity, okay. And then you said, we'll revisit it again, which you did, but it wasn't lined out that way as clearly, I thought.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so you said these are the two things and we'll get to them later, but I didn't hear those stories in that order necessarily. I think you told it, but it wasn't, the dots weren't connected as clearly as I think maybe they could be. And the confidence score sounds interesting, but there's a little bit of me that feels like Big Brother. So maybe it's, I don't know if that's the only term you use for your business, but the idea is the confidence score for the bank to make the loan, right? Not for the individual to feel confident that they can get the loan.
Right.
And then just one thing for this medium, it's hard to see your face. There's light coming from behind you, and you might want to work on that because you know, I think it takes nanoseconds for people to decide whether they like you or not, and part of it is being able to see you. So
damn, I should have done that.
Yeah, I think that's better.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, but great idea. And you've already got a client, which is great. You got to the ask, all good.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Scotty. As always, super valuable. And continuing along on my screen would be Vijay. Vijay has been quite a regular observer here in our meetings as well, and also has often really great feedback. So please, Vijay.
Yes, thank you, Claudio. A nice presentation by Gopal. Explaining his service to the banks. His presentation is very slow, so that easily it can reach the audience easily. Overall, it's a good, excellent pitch. Thank you. Thanks for that.
All right, short and sweet. Okay, so the next one, and Michael is always also putting in comments into the chat box, Gopal. So want to grab those, you know, just copy paste them before we finish the meeting. That might be helpful to you as well. Michael, please, the floor is yours.
So I like the concept behind what you're going after in terms of a targeted audience. A couple things, looking at it from an investor's perspective, understanding your scope of your market. You said 10,000 banks, and that sounds to me like you're really going after maybe the top 200 banks to be able to capture some real value. Where does it trail off after that? Because that's, you think you have a scaling issue, because I doubt the first Oklahoma bank is going to be really diving into your platform to try to, research the 2 applications they have. So I understand where that comes as one piece, so a scale issue. The other would be, how does this different from other data aggregation tools out there? Or in my case, so, it's interesting you brought this up, because Blue Prism is an RPA vendor. It's where I work for. And this data aggregation or data management is a very, it's a common use case for leveraging digital workers to do such things. So again, taking the multiple technologies that are out there, I think your messaging is very targeted and very focused, which is good, because you are talking specifically to an industry, specifically to folks within industry, so you can actually craft that message appropriately. From an investor perspective, though, I'd want to know, how is this going to be different? What's the barrier to entry? What's your secret sauce that's going to prevent others from just stealing your business, or prevent banks from doing it themselves, leveraging tools that are already on the market now that can do this sort of thing? So again, maybe, I know 3 minutes is a very short period of time to cover a lot of that information, but hinting towards how that you're protecting the investment, hinting how you're managing this different than a generic kind of tool, and to whom exactly you're going to. Hey, we hit the top 50 banks out of this here, leveraging the pricing model that we have. We're looking at a run rate of 18 million a year, or figure it out, whatever your numbers are. But as an investor, as I was listening from that kind of perspective, I didn't hear a lot of that. I understand the general concept of what you're doing, which is very good to be able to explain that part of it. I didn't understand as an investor how I'd get my money back, or how I'd make some revenue from a company perspective, because I didn't really catch that part in what you were talking about. But otherwise, I agree with everyone else. Energy-wise, you talk about this conductive thing. First thing I thought was lightning. Lightning in a bottle, and we've captured this data. We're really able to do it, and to really get fired up about that. Get that enthusiasm going, because this is something that if you want investors to, they're going to invest in you, and they're not going to invest in somebody who's necessarily going to have, listen, I've got the best product, but I can't tell you about it, and I'm really dull. No, it's like, hey, listen, I have got the investment. You have to, this is why it's the best thing in this market. Get on fire. People will like you that way. They'll get to know your personality and get that infectious sort of energy from you. So otherwise, great concept. I hope you can leverage it.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, as always, superb feedback, Michael. Thank you very much. And then I see Ali on the call. Ali, I'm not sure if you are ready to give some feedback as well.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you. I don't want to take too much of your time, because I don't know anything about fintech. So I just wanted to say that I just felt that your presentation, I liked your tone, I liked the speed. I felt, as someone who doesn't understand anything about the subject, I felt like I learned something, and I just liked your style. So I'll just give you that feedback, and that, yeah, maybe next time turn the camera so we can see you a bit better. But otherwise, I don't know, you just had a very pleasant speed and tone. So kudos on that.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ali. 2 comments there. Number 1, likability. It is so important, and you really, really nailed that one. And the other one is that some of the best feedback often comes from people that do not know anything about the subject, because it's a perfect test whether your language and whether your message is actually simple enough for those who are not totally tuned in, still can fully follow. So great feedback as well, Ali. Thank you very much. And that gets us to Nathan or me. Let me very, very quickly provide some feedback and then turn it over to Nathan to take this one home. Few people mentioned the energy. Your energy was, in my opinion, somewhere, like mid-level. It wasn't boring at all, but as Michael pointed out, investors, they invest in the person. and you want to display a certain enthusiasm and passion, and that can be done with, in parts, language, in parts with your body language, your gestures, and of course, to a large part, with the way that you speak. Speed up a little bit when you are excited and you want to convey that excitement. Slow down if you want to demonstrate authority, and that will help you a lot in that regard. Now, a few people also mentioned the opening, and I am so picky when it comes to openings, because I realize, as we all do here on the call, the opening and the close are the two most important factors. I think the opening is even more important than the close, because that builds the basis for the rest of what you're going to do. And when I think of an effective, a really powerful opening, there are three openings that usually come to my mind. One is some question, but a thought-provoking question, not something that's kind of rhetorical or something that everybody goes like, yeah, like, you know, do you like the sunshine? Yeah, sure, everybody does, but something really thought-provoking. The second one would be a startling fact, something that makes people go, oh, wow, I didn't know about that. And in your pitch, you actually had such a startling fact with the 270 million. So I would possibly consider taking that at the very, very beginning, possibly even combine it into a question. Did you know that? Right? And then the third way would be to do or say something totally unexpected, because then you get people really, really tuning into you. They go like, what's he doing? Where is this leading? And you got their attention. But as everybody else said, really, really great job, easy to follow, great, great language that's easy to digest for people who are not even native English speakers as well. And that's it from me. Nathan, please fill in the blanks. You're still, yep.
I was on mute. Like, he told me to be on mute, so I was on mute. Everybody has pretty much covered everything on my list. Gopal, you know, I've always thought you are a very well-spoken individual. Do what Claudio has just mentioned. In the third thing he mentioned, when you say something that's totally unexpected, one of the my favorite unexpected kind of things is when you use a good simile, analogy, or metaphor to open up your talk. And we can work on probably something like that. Maybe Michael's lightning in a bottle kind of a metaphor could be used here, perhaps. The one thing that I thought of as I listened to you, this is about the fifth or sixth time that I've heard Gopal's pitch. I felt like Rest Story could be the place to start. It establishes so much credibility, and it is in your past. Then you left there, and so it feels like that might be a way, we're not to just get right to it. Perhaps we can talk about that again in another call if you'd like. But my number one, the only thing on my list that nobody else has said yet is a hack that I actually just learned 3 days ago, and I can't believe that I didn't know this before. But whenever you need light on your face, all you need to do is take your smartphone, turn on the light, and point it at yourself. It's like, why didn't I think of that a year ago? It just happened with somebody yesterday. I said, I can't see you. I said, hang on a second. And he just turned on the light. I said, how'd you do that? He says, oh, it's just my phone. I thought, oh, why didn't I think of that?
Oh, yeah, that worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, great.
See, that's what these sessions are good for, Gopal. They just knock you around a little bit, make you remind you of the things that are already up here, and simplify the whole thing. And bottom line is, the more authentic, honest, and real you are, usually that's how you get your message across. And telling a story without thinking about it as a story, just
as a story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all. That was really helpful.
Awesome, awesome. And you just answered my question that I would have had next to you, Gopal, is, was it helpful? And if so, in what ways do you see you applying what you just have heard into the next version of your pitch?
Well, I worked with Nathan, and I think, I know that the pitch has gotten better because, frankly, I was told by a lot of angels and VCs that it wasn't very exciting. Mm-hmm. And perhaps I gave more details than necessary. So I really worked with him to shorten it. And I know it still sounds a little bit like a pre-rehearsed thing, but at least now people know what I'm talking about, and particularly the fintech investors who already have this proclivity to find angles in the fintech space. It really works for them. So already, thank you, Nathan. That's why I got into the accelerator and all these other things, good things are happening. But this was very helpful because all of the feedback was excellent. One of the things that I keep working on is, how do I be authentic and enthusiastic without sounding over the top? And what I've learned is that's not my problem. Like when I think I come across over the top, it's just mid-level. So I need to really push it up even higher. I need to drink a Red Bull or some shit and really get up there. And the other thing I noticed is the way that I'm doing this pitch is, again, it's very clear, but there isn't a whole lot of my personality in it. And I think that part at the end that you guys so wisely pointed out, like that's where I would love to start. If I'm having, a drink with somebody or I'm telling somebody why I'm excited about this, the line is pretty quick. I just tell people, hey, I was this consultant, because this is my third startup. And as I was fixing the problem, I learned that, I was making notes on how to do it better. And so I started Conductive. And as it turns out, everybody has this problem. This is going to go big. Plus we're like the only software company out there that can help banks during COVID. Now, can I talk with you more about what I'm doing? That would be a more casual way of me doing it. And I think I got to start doing that.
Well, your enthusiasm in the last 2 minutes has been more than over the top, and you still are very interesting to listen to.
Okay, so. Great. All right, I'll try and channel that. Thank you guys.
Yes. Make sure you watch the video. When Claudio posts this video, go back and watch the last part of what you just did for us here. And that's the person that we all want to see.
That's the person.
Absolutely. Yes. And Gopal, I would like to invite you to come back in a few weeks again, as you are now taking what you have heard, incorporate it, make your pitch slightly more effective. Feel free to come back and go through another round, because creating an excellent pitch is an iterative process. It takes 1, 2, 3 sessions to just get warmed up. And your coaching by Nathan clearly shows, again, it was a really great pitch. But I say, even the most excellent pitch can even get better. So I would love to see you again in a couple of weeks and see what you have made out of what you have heard here today.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'd love to come back. In fact, Michael, I'm just connecting with you on LinkedIn. So thank you all. I would love to come back. In fact, we're fundraising now because of this LOI that we signed. Please give me a couple of weeks, and then Claudio, can I just email you?
Yeah, you can just email me. I can also send you a link. We have on it's PresenterZone/pitch.
Oh, I saw that. Yes, I'll just go there.
Yeah. But you can also just email me, and it will be a real delight, because then we can also see how people that are coming through this pitch in the zone really, improve and develop their own skills. And to wrap this up, I want to just make one comment, and that is that the reason we call this pitch in the zone has a very particular reason, because it's all about your own emotional state. And we've all heard this, he's in the zone. So that's where we want people to get. And I believe you have received so much feedback now, and do not be afraid to go over the top, because while you're practicing, and you go over the top. Once you get back into the real life, you will automatically tone it down a little bit. So it's all good. Stretch yourself, and then, you know, you're getting back to another level that is already higher than the current one. With that, thank you very much, everybody who participated today in Pitch in the Zone number 7. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care and goodbye.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.